So what's my final recommendation on the Onyx-R machine? I say go for it. Hi everyone, Greg here from the Laser channel where we learn, create, and share. And today I'm going to be doing a brief review on the Onyx-R by Monport. I'll start by tossing up in the corner of the screen some basic specifications about this machine, which you can also look up on the Monport website. Now, as I go through my brief review on this machine, there's going to be a lot of things that I like about the machine. And there's also going to be kind of a short list of things that I really don't like about the machine. And I'm also going to offer some basic solutions to those areas that I don't like. Now, with that, let's get started. First of all, what I really like about the Onyx-R is it's what I would call an all-in-one laser machine. This machine comes with everything that I need to get it up and running. There's nothing additional that I really need to purchase for it, other than the things that I don't like about the machine. We're going to catch up with that a little bit later on in the machine. So this all-in-one package, it is going to have an integrated cooling system that comes pre-filled. Just know that the cooling system on the Onyx-R does not have an active chiller, meaning that the best that it can do is ever cool down to the ambient room temperature. Continuing on with the all-in-one machine, we're going to move towards the back of the machine where there's an exhaust fan. It's a very rudimentary fan. It's one of those kind of low-powered computer fans. It doesn't move a whole lot of air, which is why the Onyx-R includes this nice and powerful inline exhaust fan, and it has 4-inch ports on both the inlet and the outlet. Now, when I compare it to the first Onyx machine, which I'll just refer to as the Onyx 1 machine, they did have a larger inlet for that, which matched up to the back of the machine. However, while that did flow more air, it didn't have a whole lot of velocity, which means that on the Onyx 1, the smoke would have a tendency to collect within the engraving area. But now that this Onyx-R has that 4-inch port, the velocity is much faster at the expense of a little bit lower flow, but it's that velocity that clears out the smoke in this work area so much better. While the exhaust fan itself is great, when I lift it up and I show you the length of the cord it comes with, I mean, this isn't even a 3-foot cord that comes on here. This is more like 2 feet or 2.5 feet. And when we take a closer look at the cord itself, we find that there's no on-off switch, so the fan goes on as soon as I plug it in, which is kind of a bummer that the machine is so cool and feature-rich, but when we get to the inline fan, it kind of falls short when we go to use the power cable on it. But don't worry, a little bit later on in the video, I'm going to show you my workaround with that. That makes a lot of sense. Continuing on, this machine is going to be using common mirror sizes and a common focus lens size. One of the updates to the Onyx-R has to do with the rotary accessory port located in the back of the machine. They've now updated this port to a more common, larger size found on virtually all CO2 machines on today's market. I ran this machine quite a bit off camera, and I have good speed out of the machine with a phenomenal amount of detail. Now, with this detail comes a setting called offset scan, which I didn't have to adjust on the Onyx-R. That already came pre-programmed within the Ruida controller found over in this area of the machine. Now we're coming up on the second to last thing that I really like about the Onyx-R, and that is going to be the built-in camera system that's on the lid of the machine. This camera calibrates so much easier in Lightburn software. In fact, this one, it calibrated the first time for me, and to prove to myself that it wasn't a fluke, I wiped that calibration out and I tried it another 3 times, and each time it worked perfectly on the first calibration setup, which is really cool. The other really nice thing is that once it's calibrated and I'm connected up to my computer, that USB connection has been rock solid. The camera has never disconnected from the computer, which is pretty cool. Now, conversely, I did find once the camera is calibrated that the amount of air is going to be about 1 to 3 millimeters. So that 3 millimeters, I'm not too crazy about it, but with my camera use, I primarily use it for aligning odd-shaped graphics up to different types of work material, and for that application it works perfectly. And when I have scrap material that I want to get every square inch utilized, that 3 millimeters of air is still pretty workable, so I get maximum material usage even out of scrap materials. When we talk about the Onyx-R camera system, to say that that camera system was a little bit finicky is a large understatement. I know many of us had tremendous problems even getting the camera to calibrate on the Onyx-R machine. And if it was able to calibrate, that USB connection from the camera up to the computer just simply was not stable. It would just disconnect left and right, and the only way to recover from that was to completely shut down the Lightburn software and the machine and restart everything up. And obviously, if we're running a project, we don't want to shut everything down in the middle of a project. So on the Onyx-R, it looks like all of that's been addressed. The camera calibrates so much easier on the first try, and the connection up to the computer has been rock solid. And lastly, I think what I thought is going to be the best maintenance tool on the Onyx-R is not only does the lid open up very nicely, but these side panels, there's a couple screws on the inside to loosen up this panel. I find I don't even have to loosen those up. I can just take the side panel and kind of give it a little bit wiggle. It is in there snugly. We don't want it to come loose while the machine is running without any tools. Remove the side panel, and now I have full access to everything on this side of the machine, which is going to include mirror number 1, mirror number 2, and the cooling system along with the cooling radiator. If I get this out of my way while I move to the other side of the machine, I can do the exact same thing on this side of the machine. And this too pops right out. There's a little connector going up to the button on this panel. And now I've got access to everything on this side of the machine, like the power supply for the laser tube, the air assist pump, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit, and then the Ruida controller. Well, wait a minute. I almost forgot about one of my favorite things about the Onyx-R, and that is the automatic focusing system. When I have the machine connected up to Lightburn software, there's a button in there called, ironically, Focus. I press that, and the laser head automatically focuses down to my work material wherever I have the laser head positioned. This is a really cool feature, and I looked at that quite extensively, and I found that the autofocus is extremely repeatable and very, very accurate. The machine does come with a manual focus gauge, and I have checked that up against the autofocus, and it comes in rock solid every time. So it's a nice, convenient feature that works very, very well on the Onyx-R machine. The Onyx-R machine definitely has a lot of really great things going for it and a lot of cool updates over the Onyx-R machine. It's now that part of the video where I talk about some of the things that I really don't care for on the Onyx-R, starting out with the air assist pump. That pump is located up in this corner of the machine, and it has a pretty lackluster performance where it really doesn't flow that much at all. It outputs just a whisper of air by the time it gets to the air assist nozzle. Now, for those of us that are going to be engraving wood, acrylics, or cutting thin acrylics, that little whisper of air is actually all we really want and all we really need. However, when we go to start cutting with the Onyx-R, it's where the anemic air assist pump really shows its wicked face. It just doesn't have enough oomph to really push all the smoke and smoke residue out of the way to effectively cut very clean and very deep. I recommend just removing the air assist pump that comes on the machine. It's only held in place with 3 screws, one connector, and of course the Airline. I'd take that air assist pump and I'd actually put it in the toolbox that is included with the laser machine. And instead, I would opt towards an air assist pump that flows at least 60 liters of air per minute. Now, my personal choice would be to place that air assist pump somewhere up in this corner and then take some 6mm Airline and then connect up to the air pump and then connect the other end up to the Airline that's already in that corner. And the really cool thing is this plastic Airline will actually fit inside of the very soft and very flexible Airline that is ran throughout the Onyx-R machine. And if you got a question on how this Airline gets inside of the Onyx-R, when we remove that air assist pump, there's a fresh air intake port that is cut in the bottom of the frame, and that's a perfect spot to run the Airline in. The next item on this very short list, I'm gonna go back over by the exhaust fan and specifically the accessories with the inline exhaust fan. While I do love that it does come with 2 exhaust hoses, each one being about 5 feet in length, get that out of the way. It's actually when we turn to the hose clamps, I only get 3 of them. So I get one from the machine, another one up to the exhaust fan, and then from the exhaust fan out. But the other end of the hose, I guess we're left to fend for ourselves. So it would have been nice if Monport included 4 hose clamps, 1 for each end of the hose. I know it's pretty trivial, but when we're doing an install and we start looking around and we realize that the machine only comes with 3 clamps, when it'd be pretty cool if it came with 4. Now, going back to the exhaust fan itself, I talked about I had a solution for this really short cable, along with there's no power switch on this cable, and my simple solution is going to be a power strip. And I've got a power strip here. Of course, I'd probably opt for something with a longer cord, but now I can simply plug the inline fan into here. I can also take that air assist pump and plug that into the same power strip, and now I can use the power button or switch on the power strip, and I can turn both components on at the same time. I do realize that this is less than ideal, but certainly a pretty workable solution. The third item on my list where I think the Onyx-R falls a little bit short, happens to be a little bit nitpicky, but it still made the list, and it has to do with the USB cables included with the machine. I'll start out with a positive note, and that is the USB cable that connects the computer up to the machine. This looks to be about a 10-foot long USB cable, so I can place my computer anywhere around the machine that I'd like to. It's when I turn my attention to the USB cable for the camera system, it's only 3 feet long. Maybe it's from the same company that made the power cable for the inline fan. But back to point, when I plug the USB cable into the back of the Onyx-R, this is all the more reach that it has. It's only going to fit on this side of the machine. If I have my computer over on this side of the machine, the cable does not reach. And in fact, when I place the cable underneath my table here, I'm not sure that the cable would reach a tower case. So it's a little bit odd and puzzling why this cable is so short. So what's my final recommendation on the Onyx-R machine? I say go for it. This has been a very rock solid machine for me. It's been very reliable, very accurate, and very consistent. I hope that you'll join me in future videos on the Onyx-R. Some of the videos I have planned coming up include setting up and getting the machine connected to Lightburn software. I'll also be going through the full camera calibration within Lightburn software, followed up by connecting a rotary unit up to the machine. I hope that you'll support the Laser channel by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that notification bell. Not only is it a great way to help the Laser channel grow, it's an excellent way to connect video content like this with other great viewers just like you. I'll also have a product link in the video description down below along with a discount code. And in full transparency, this video, I'm not paid by Monport to make this video. I enjoy making videos like this. They did, however, send me this sample to share my experiences with all of you. And if you do click on the link down below and you decide to purchase this machine or anything else from Monport, I do receive a small commission at no cost to you. It's one of the things that helps support the laser channel so I can make more videos just like this. Well, until we meet again in the next video, learn, create, and share.